Hey everybody! So in the last video, in going over the key of C, we saw that there were two chords that we didn't know yet. Oh, you didn't notice? We'll take a look. We've learned to play the 1, 4, 5, and 6, which is always minor, but what about the other two that are always minor? We have D and E, and as chords, they'd be D minor and E minor. So to finish getting all of our tools in the key of C, we need to learn those. And today we start with D minor. And to learn D minor, we're going to start with the A minor chord, and I'll show you why. You may recall that when we learned the F chord, I showed you how it was just a matter of adding one finger, like this. Now we're going to go one small step further and add a third finger. And this is how you play D minor. We haven't gotten into exactly what notes make up what chords, but A minor, F, and D minor share a few notes in common. And the way things are laid out on the ukulele makes things really convenient for us. We can start with our middle finger on the red sticker to play A minor, add our pointer finger to play F, and then finally add our ring finger here to play D minor. 1 finger, 2 finger, 3 fingers. Let's make a chord progression out of this. It should be easy for you. Start with 4 strums of A minor, then 4 strums of F, then 4 strums of D minor. And since we want to make this progression sound complete, we're going to resolve to C at the end. Try this with me. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, Very nice, everyone. Now, D minor is the second chord we've learned that requires 3 fingers, and it's brand new, so you may find it kind of tricky or hard at first to remember. But we're going to help out with that with our first chart today. There are a couple things here you've seen before. First, you'll notice that there's a specific rhythm for each measure. It's nothing too tricky, mostly half notes and whole notes, but it's something to take notice of. Next, remembering our ABC form, you can see that there's an A section, B section, and C section. Unlike our other two ABC songs, this song is not quite as straightforward, but we'll get to that. And right here is what I really want to show you. The B section, which uses our new chord. First off, the rhythm is mostly whole notes, so that's pretty easy. Find your D minor chord. Remember that it's pretty much an F chord with an added finger. And what's our next chord in this section? Why, it happens to be an F chord. So you had an added finger for D minor, just take it away to go to F. How simple is that? So in this part, you'll have D minor, F, D minor, then finish with F for 2 beats, then G for 2 beats. And that's that. Alright, let's look at the other sections. The A section has got an easy rhythm and chords you're already really familiar with, so we can probably sight read this. Let's give it a try, playing through it twice. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, good. Now for the C section, which doesn't have a tricky rhythm, it's all quarter notes, but it does feel faster than the other two sections. But here's some good news. You've already played this before. Sort of. Given that this song is in the key of C, we would label the chords like this. 1s for C, 5s for G, 4s for F, and lowercase 6 for A minor. And right here, This should look familiar to you. That's because it's the pop chord progression hidden in this song. We already practiced this starting on the 1 and starting on the 6, but you can start on the 4 or 5 as well, though it's less common. In this case, it starts on the 4, which is F, and it's just 2 strums per chord. At the end here, you play G extra long and skip the A minor before you start over on F again, but I don't think that's anything you can't handle. Let's try this together 3 times through. Ready? 1, 2, 3, and. And second time. 1, and third time. Alright, we've got our 3 sections down. We've almost learned the song. But what happens after we play the A, B, C sections? First of all, it happens again. So that's pretty easy to remember. And as before, you play through the A section twice and the C section 3 times. But remember, I said this wasn't as straightforward as the other 2 ABC songs, and here's how. After playing through the C section again, you go back to B. After you do that, you do this. Wait for 4 counts. It makes sense when you hear the song. And for the 4th and final time of playing the C section at the end, do this. Switch to half notes, so 1 strum per chord. It's not super complicated, but it's helpful to know ahead of time. And that is pretty much everything you need to know about playing this song. Now, let's take a look at the song itself, Compass, by the country band Lady Antebellum. Lady Antebellum, who now go by the name Lady A, were formed in Nashville, Tennessee in 2006, consisting of lead singer Hillary Scott, singer-guitarist Charles Kelly, and Dave Haywood, who plays guitar, piano, and mandolin. Now, this is sort of interesting. Nashville is one of the 3 big music cities in the United States. You can be a professional musician in any large city, but those who really want to make it in the music industry end up going to either Nashville, LA, or New York, where the major record companies and studios have their headquarters, and Nashville is the undisputed center of country music. In Nashville, in particular, there's a thriving network of songwriters who are seen almost as a separate business from performers. Some performers and bands do write their own music, but it's very common for artists to perform songs written by other people, and they themselves write songs that someone else will perform. Songwriting is seen as such a distinct skill, it's actually given a separate credit in country music videos, which is kind of cool. Anyway, back to Compass. It was written by the LA songwriting team Stargate, consisting of Norwegians Tor Erik Hermansen and Mikkel Storlier Eriksson. As soon as the members of Lady A heard it, they were taken in by its positive message and infectious melody and knew they had to record it right away. Adding predominant mandolin, fiddle, and banjo parts gave the song the traditional country flavor they were looking for, and it became one of their biggest hits. And now we're going to add some ook to the song. There's a 4-bar introduction, and then we start into the A section. Alright everyone, ready?
You
Alright everyone, did you keep up? Now, as always, go back and practice as needed, and if you're ready, we're moving on. Now, in Compass, we were able to practice shifting between D minor and F, and since it was just a difference of one finger, it wasn't too tough. Now let's try this. Let's go between A minor and D minor. This isn't too tough either, since our middle finger is already in place. All you need to do next is add your pointer finger and your ring finger. Remember how when we practiced F, we went between A minor and F? This is almost the same thing, just with an extra finger, from A minor to D minor. So as we work on that, let's build it into another chord progression. We're going to add a C to the front and a G to the back. And since this is new, let's make something a little easier for ourselves. Instead of strumming 4 steady beats, let's expand this to 2 measures of each chord, so it's 8 steady beats. We get twice as long to play each chord. Give it a try with me. 1, 2, 3, and. Okay, very good. That shouldn't be a problem. And we'll get plenty of chances to play that. But now let's try something else. In exchange for something easier, we're going to do something a little more challenging. Taking our chord progression, let's get rid of the C and A minor chords. Alright, now we just have D minor and G. Try that. 1, 2, 3, and. Still pretty easy, right? Okay, let's bring it down to 1 measure per chord, so only 4 strums each. And try that with me. 1, 2, 3, and. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, I think we're doing okay. Not too hard yet. The pulse didn't get any faster, just a quicker transition between chords. So let's go one step further. Let's put the D minor chord and the G chord into 1 measure. So what does that mean for our strumming? It means 2 strums each. It may take some practice, but you can totally do it. So let's try. How about 4 times in a row? Ready? 1, 2, 3, and. Switching back and forth between these 2 chords is good practice for us. Each one uses 3 fingers, so there's a little challenge there, but you know G really well by now, and you're getting better at D minor, so you can do this. And it's time to attach this to a song. Don't Get Me Wrong by The Pretenders. The Pretenders were formed in 1978, but really got their start in 1973 when a 22-year-old music journalist and songwriter named Chrissie Hynde moved from Ohio to London to work on the British weekly music paper NME. She got involved with the emerging punk and new wave scene, and in 1978 the president of Anchor Records heard some of her demos. He helped her get a band together, and she named them The Pretenders, after a song called The Great Pretender by the Platters. Led by Hynde's songwriting and vocals, the band had a number of hits in the late 70s and early 80s, developed a dedicated following of fans spanning the genres of punk, new wave, rock, and pop, and in 2005 were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Hynde herself was especially influential with her commanding style, attitude, and stage presence. In a 1994 interview with Q magazine, Madonna said of Hynde, "It gave me courage and inspiration to see a woman with that kind of confidence." So let's try her 1986 song, Don't Get Me Wrong. For the most part, the song follows the C, A minor, D minor, G chord progression, but there are a few variations, and this is why it's helpful to divide songs into sections. It helps us keep track of where we are and what we're doing when playing something repetitive. The form of the song goes like this: 3 verses, a bridge, an instrumental break, guitar solo, and then a final verse. During all the verses and guitar solo, you mostly play the 8-bar chord progression that we practiced, but like I said, there are slight variations, so pay attention. The bridge is the D minor G part, and again, watch for any changes. Wait 8 measures for the vocals to come in, and then we start. Let's do this. Okay everyone, how did you do? Practice some more if you want to or need to, and we're moving on. In our next video, we're going to try to fit our D minor chord into our C blues and play a couple of classic songs from one of the greatest vocal groups of all time that came from a record label known as Motown. Alright, until then, see you everybody.